Everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Maximizing AI Potential in Salesforce, MuleSoft for Agentforce. My name is Stephanie, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. We're so excited to have you here. A few quick housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. Closed captioning is available for your convenience at the bottom of your screen. And if you'd like to learn more about our speakers or connect with them, you can do so by clicking on their profiles in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. This presentation is being recorded, and you'll receive a link to the recording once the webinar concludes. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Raul to kick off the introductions. Raul, take it away.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Rahul Pahuja with Argano. I lead our integration and automation competence focused on Salesforce and MuleSoft. And more recently, I've been involved in our Agentforce go-to-market strategy in collaboration with Patty and quite a few others over at Salesforce. So super excited to be here, and I'll hand it over to Patty for her introduction.
Thanks, Rahul, and thanks, Stephanie. Hi, everyone. I'm Patty Rakelmy, Director of Product Marketing here at MuleSoft, which is one of the brands within the Salesforce portfolio. I'm so excited to be here today and be talking about MuleSoft for Agentforce and how we fit into the entire ecosystem within Salesforce. More importantly, how we can help you solve some of the problems that you're hoping that an agentic future will help you solve. So Rahul, do you want to talk a little bit more about our relationship together and how set the stage for how we work together?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been working very closely with Patty and quite a bit of our counterparts on the sales side. We have a booming MuleSoft practice, got depth in our experience and breadth across many verticals. And we're a full service Salesforce and MuleSoft partner. We've actually been engaged in several Agentforce pilot implementations more recently, leading quite a few of them that should be wrapping up in the next week or two. Got tons of learnings to share through that experience. And I'll quickly talk about what our agenda is for today. We'll hand over to Patty in a little bit for an Agentforce introduction. We'll talk about why MuleSoft for Agentforce. We'll go through some roundtable questions, and then we can go through your questions later in the session. Patty, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, so good opportunity for us to ground in what Agentforce is. So at Salesforce, if you haven't heard, we've recently built Agentforce, which is an all new layer in the Salesforce platform. And it's all about deploying autonomous AI agents that can bring relief to your workforce by working alongside humans. So it's this idea of being able to do more and making sure that humans are having the ability to focus on some of the jobs that need to get done that need a critical eye, that need more time invested in them, while agents are taking care of some of those redundant and repetitive tasks that are just wasting time. Agentforce is going to help you build powerful autonomous agents for the front office. So think about sales, service, marketing, commerce, some of those redundant things like customer service. Agents don't need to be agents will make sure that humans don't need to be part of the conversations and that you can take action. So they can anticipate, they can plan, they can reason with minimal help. And this is very different from copilots. This is very different from a chatbot. And here's why. There's 5 attributes to an agent. So the first one is a role. You're giving an Agentforce agent very clear instructions as to what topics it can discuss, what actions it can take. So you're giving it clear instructions. The second attribute is data. You want to make sure that they have access to the right systems, to the right information, so that they are knowledgeable about what they're talking about. And you've probably heard this concept or this saying of, an agent or AI is only as powerful as the grounding context that you give it. So if you only give it access to 3 different systems of record, it's only going to have information for that. But your employees also have certain access to beyond 3 different systems of record, for example, right? In a service case, you need access to a lot of different things so that they have the right information needed in order to be able to serve your customers. And actions is the third component. This is where you're giving your agents the capabilities to do the job that you want them to do. In most cases, the customers that I interact with are saying, we're looking at an agentic future, we're looking at AI because we want to drive productivity. Well, with Agentforce, you really want your Agentforce agents to be able to take actions. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today and how MuleSoft can help. Moving on to the fourth attribute, guardrails. We want to limit what an AI agent can do, what they should do, and what they shouldn't do. And that goes back to defining the role, but giving it the guardrails so that you can do it autonomously and you're not in there every single interaction, right? That would be a waste of time. And finally, the channel. Where is it that you want it to interact? What is the UI that your customer is coming into or your employees are coming into to have that conversation, to have that interaction? All of it founded on the trust layer that Salesforce is so focused on. So I want to talk about the action component because I mentioned that your employees have access to a lot of different data, and the actions that you want your agents to take are probably going to be beyond your ecosystem within the Salesforce ecosystem. Let me give you an example. For customers that want to take actions in Oracle, SAP, Workday, and more external systems, the way that you can do that is by leaning on MuleSoft for Salesforce. And let me show you how. So if you're trying to have a conversation and you're going to the prompt, so let's say I'm a user and I'm saying, hey, Agentforce, can you update my contact information? Absolutely. That can be done within the Salesforce action. That can be done within Salesforce, be done through my sales profile. It can be done through my service profile. It can be done through Data Cloud. All of those systems of record can be updated. But what if I'm saying, hey, Agentforce, can you update my contact information because I've moved? And as an employee, which is different from a customer profile, as an employee, maybe I want it to update my Workday information because I've moved. Well, at Salesforce, my Workday is also linked to my Optum account, which is linked to my Okta account, and a lot of different components to that. MuleSoft is what's going to help Agentforce agents take action anywhere. It's those actions externally that are not built in within the Salesforce system. And so when you're thinking about a complex challenge, navigating through complexity, what we know is that the average enterprise has 991 different applications. That's a lot. And humbly speaking, Salesforce is wonderful. Of course, I'm drinking our own champagne, but we don't make up 991 different applications. We are a small fraction of that, even if you're using everything in the entire Salesforce ecosystem. And so a lot of the data that you are looking to have your agents implore is found outside of Salesforce. And what we found is that 72% of these systems are disconnected. So this is messy, it's complex. And if you want to make your technical investment extend beyond CRM, you want your agents to maximize productivity, you're going to need help in achieving this. So here's what it can look like. This is the power of Agentforce with APIs. This is where MuleSoft comes in, because by extending Agentforce capabilities with standardized and secure APIs, we have hundreds of pre-built connectors, we have low-code tools. MuleSoft is really helping customers build connectivity and activate automation in all of your external systems using our API-led approach. So there's a ton of AI solutions, with Agentforce being one of the options. And I want to turn it over to Rahul because I want him to talk about what he's seen with respect to how you can use MuleSoft more broadly outside of Agentforce.
Great insights, Patty. So yeah, let's expand the lens a little bit more from actions to domain agents across the enterprise. Actually, this conversation came about. I was with CTO of a customer that I was talking to, and we were talking about the power of Agentforce, and then his question was, "But what if I want other agents in my enterprise, and I want to allow autonomy of agents across the different departments and domains in my enterprise?" So you have Agentforce for your CRM domain agent, but if you have ERPs like Oracle or SAP, they may have their own agents, which Oracle definitely does. And you can have industry domain agents, you can have HCM domain agents and whatnot. So how do you orchestrate across these different domain agents and allow interoperability between the different AI solutions? My answer to the CTO was, I'm glad you asked. We have MuleSoft for that. MuleSoft can help orchestrate across these different domains and the AI solutions. It has connectors that allow you to talk to different LLM models, talk to different vector DBs, and enable different AI solutions and bring them all together. So just like Patty presented the vision of API-led actioning from Agentforce, I think Mule can go further and help with AI and agent orchestration across the enterprise, which I think is really powerful and very unique in the space. And if I share this next slide, we'll get just slightly technical. To me, the three components of an agent are: you need an interface or a channel, so chatbot or any other messaging app. And then you've got the main engine with the prompt building, et cetera. And then you got the trust layer and the LLM model. But then you also have your vector database, which allows you to index for search at mass scale, right? So there are several scenarios where I'm pretty sure we'll run into that enterprises have Elastic or Redis or pgvector as their vector database. And those databases aren't necessarily in the zero copy capability into Data Cloud. So in that scenario, we can still enable Agentforce to interact with those vector databases via MuleSoft because it has the connectors into those systems. It allows you to bring your own LLM. And then Patty talked about the data in action. So I feel that's where MuleSoft brings in a lot of horsepower to help orchestrate across the various components and sub-architectures within an AI solution, and then also enables to orchestrate across different AI solutions. So let's talk a little bit about what does all this mean from an outcome standpoint. How does MuleSoft help streamline operations for businesses using Agentforce? Patty, do you want to expand a little bit more?
Yeah, we think about it in terms of three pillars, and I don't have a slide for this, but it's really about connecting, actioning, and securing. So when we think about connecting, we're thinking about, like I mentioned before, grounding your agents in the right context. So it's about connecting all of your data from all of your external systems to ground agents so that they can deliver personalized experiences. And at Salesforce, we talk a lot about Data Cloud and the value that Data Cloud brings in ensuring that your Salesforce ecosystem has a good foundation and there's a trust layer that's built into Data Cloud. We foundationally think, look, if you're going to go into an agentic future, you have to connect your data in a way that agents and your employees have access to all the information. So that's one bucket. From a second outcome is the actioning. There are a lot of automated multi-step actions that you can empower the agents to take. So it's completing an entire action, and think about it in terms of scheduling an appointment or taking care of something. If I'm scheduling an appointment, maybe I'm also doing that in Google Calendars, right? My entire scheduling system might not be built into Service Cloud, for example, and that's okay. We can help you do that. MuleSoft has the capabilities to help you ensure that your agents are following through on the entire order so that you don't miss something. And it's so that your employees can focus on the more complex things. Think about it in terms of, I just did a massive remodel and I had an issue with the toilet, and I ordered a spare part, did all the things online, but it got to the point where no bot, no AI agent could have helped me with the troubleshooting. I needed to speak to someone live, but all the components beforehand could have been solved by the AI agent to the point until they needed to transfer me to a live person. But think about all that time that can be saved so that your employees, and the employee that helped me, I don't know that they were using AI, but the employee that helped me was so helpful. We were FaceTiming, we were really getting in there to fix that toilet, but it took 15 minutes for us to do that. That's a long time in service land. And it saved us from having to get another replacement part and get another replacement part, which are costing the organization because they're not charging me for it. So think about all those costs that come into place. And finally, secure. So securing and protecting the APIs and how you govern and secure every interaction. So ensuring that each customer or employee and all of your business data remains secure so that your agents have a certain level of access, your employees might have a different level of access, and your IT teams might have yet another different level of access to all those different systems and all that data. So think about it again in those three buckets: connect, action, and secure. So I've talked a lot, but Rahul, I think one of the things that I hear often is people saying, okay, I understand, I'm interested in Agentforce, we're interested in an agentic future, but I already have an integration platform. And so I'm certainly biased as to why you should choose MuleSoft, but you interact with all kinds of customers. Why are you seeing that customers are choosing MuleSoft? And I'm up for a friendly debate if you want to debate this, but I'm curious. Why are they choosing
No,
MuleSoft?
I think that's a fair question, right? So first of all, what I'll say is I think MuleSoft is deeply integrated into the Salesforce platform already. So it allows you to tap into a lot of native integration capabilities from the Salesforce platform. And extending that into Agentforce, I know there are things on the roadmap. I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, so I see all these things, but I feel that integration is going to become GA very soon also. So talking about what topics an agent can act on when you tie those MuleSoft actions to those topics, all of that is seamlessly integrated between Agentforce and MuleSoft, right? So I think that's a lot of horsepower to keep it within one platform rather than having to swivel out and trying to make API callouts out of Agentforce, which then just lead to more heavy code when the whole concept of Agentforce is click and configure AI solution, kind of democratizing that for the business users or super users to be able to configure their own AI solutions on the Salesforce platform. So I think that's one, but I do feel that MuleSoft also brings in a lot of capabilities in serving agent topics and responsibilities. So when you talk about the role, right, I look at it more like a job description. And I feel like you can build out the agent's job description over time as you have it conquer certain duties, and it starts doing that very well, and you ground it in the data and everything. So I'll give an example. Let's take like high-tech companies, even MuleSoft. They all have docs websites, right? And at this point, from an experience standpoint, everybody wants to chat with the data. They want a chat experience, not having to go click through embedded trees of a doc site and try to get to the answer. So in order to do that, MuleSoft can actually help with all that because it has a web crawler connector that can go and read all the website content, bring that into Data Cloud, and in Data Cloud and index it for search, and you can enable a chat experience against that. So it requires that web crawler connectivity and then also the connectivity into Data Cloud to be able to enable that vector database searching, right? So I feel like MuleSoft brings in tons of capabilities and horsepower from an architectural standpoint that enables Agentforce to have that click and configure experience rather than having to dive into code and have to code it out. So
you're right. I mean, you bring up a really good point, and I think that's things like API catalog and topic center are things that we've announced at Dreamforce. So those two product capabilities or functions are going to be available in February. So we are truly weeks away from that. Very exciting because they are built in within the Salesforce platform. And I'm very excited about them because they're going to make some of these customizations. And like you said, defining the role is truly the job description of the agent. That is going to be so easy within Agentforce. And Agentforce has a lot of out-of-the-box capabilities, but for our audience listening, how many times have you truly just used something out of the box? There's always something that you want to fine tune. It's going to be great out of the box, but when you want to fine tune, we have the tools available for you. And I think the other piece is that as we continue to innovate for MuleSoft, we are trying to find ways to build within Salesforce so that people aren't having to dip in and out. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to meet the needs of our developers and architects who really want to build on their own. That will definitely be there. We also want to meet the needs of some of our customers who want to be able to make quick changes using low code or clicks. And that is in our future. Yeah.
I think that makes complete sense. I'm also curious, Patty, I know you talked about your personal experience of home renovation, but I know you and I have done some sessions before on retail, and you were talking about the multi-actions that come together.
Yeah.
Walk us through an example of retail where, I mean, I can think of a few, but I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah. I spent nearly 20 years in retail and consumer goods, and one of the most frustrating things was the inventory, both as an employee and then, of course, all of us have had an issue with an order not arriving on time or an out of stock situation as a consumer. And so the best example that I can give that is fully relatable, I hope, is let's say you are using Agentforce. And like I said, amazing out of the box capabilities. However, there is a caveat. There are limitations to it. So you go to any retailer. We use Northern Trail Outfitters as our generic Salesforce company. But let's say I'm on the NTO website and I'm talking to the chatbot. Well, in this case, I now know that it's an agent, Force agent. And I'm saying, oh, I ordered a sweater, but I ordered a sweater for my sister for her birthday that's coming up. But I realized that she's actually going to be in Montana for the weekend of her birthday, and I need to change the shipping address. And the service agent can absolutely change the shipping address. They can go in and go into the order and make the changes. The problem is that if I'm changing the order, it might change where the product is going to ship from. It might not ship from the New York warehouse or the Tennessee warehouse. Maybe this one's going to ship from a Nevada warehouse, two different geographical locations within the United States. Agentforce doesn't necessarily know that on the back end, it has to take that into consideration. Also, it doesn't know what the inventory positions are for each of those warehouses. When I got my confirmation for the order to ship to New York, that was coming from Tennessee, unbeknownst to me or the agent, right? It's just happening on the back end. In order to give Agentforce the full capabilities and the full control and power to automate some of these things that are truly mundane, you want to give it access to those systems. And all of those are external, right? Your ERP system, your shipping, your logistics, even the FedEx or UPS labels that you're using to actually ship that out. Maybe one location uses FedEx and the other one uses UPS for whatever reason. You want to maximize operational efficiency. And so you want to have a seamless update through and through. Agentforce won't let you do that out of the box. MuleSoft for Agentforce will allow you to do that because now you're connecting all of your different systems. Now you're creating the actions in those external systems automatically. And now you're securing the APIs so that even though Agentforce is connecting to those external systems, you're not doing it recklessly. You're being very intentional about who has access to what and how. So that would be one of the most tangible examples, but Do you have any that come to mind from like more of a B2B example or B2B use case behind the scenes?
I can share a personal example, which I wish was agent enabled. My car's been sitting at the mechanics for about 4 weeks waiting on the part. And I finally had to call my mechanic and I'm like, cancel that order and find me a local one. And I'm okay paying a higher price. Right. And he was able to do that. And it's going to show up in a couple of days. And we're sitting there waiting for 3 weeks. On a part delivery, which obviously has been delayed in LA, so the fires and everything,
Yeah.
holiday season, etc. So, I think agents can really help enhance the consumer experience in so many ways, right? By either detecting a delay in shipping, detecting delays in or adverse conditions that may impact delivery, right? So if this whole experience was powered by an agent, it would have detected, okay, well, there are adverse conditions around the LA area that are causing delays in shipment. It can automatically prompt, I can find you a quicker option locally for a higher price. Would you want that?
Yeah.
Right.
And you mentioned it from a consumer standpoint, but from a company perspective, they don't want that car sitting there. They can't schedule their team effectively. It's the then, right? It's full operational efficiency.
Yeah.
That was part of what drew me to MuleSoft when I joined nearly 5 years ago was the efficiency that you can create operationally. Because like I said, I spent so much time in CPG and retail. I knew the inefficiencies that just happen with just the nature of the business.
Yeah. But from a B2B standpoint, I would say through our pilot implementations, we've come across some use cases. So we have a auto manufacturer, and they have aftermarket parts and accessories, warranty claims and whatnot. All of these are business processes that are complex, kind of cross-functional, cross-department business processes, and you can drive some high efficiencies through an agent experience in those scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is helpful. I'm seeing some questions come through the Q&A. Should we start to?
Absolutely. Let's take a look. Okay. I think there was some context before that question. Was there? What's the role of MuleSoft in that integration? I think it was more Salesforce, sales and procurement, so to speak. But my response to that would be, it goes back to what Patty was talking about in terms of multi-department and multi-step orchestration that MuleSoft can help with. So if you're talking about different departments, they're using different systems typically. So sales would be on your CRM, and then procurement would be within their procurement system, and they would need integration and orchestration depending on the use case. Without having a clear understanding of what the use case is, but I think it's more about the integration between the two systems. And then if you have an agent on the CRM side, so let's go with Agentforce, and it needs to interact with the procurement system, then MuleSoft can help integrate it to take any actions or get any data necessary from the procurement system in real time.
Yeah, and I would add there's components like from a procurement standpoint, I worked in supply chain for a little bit of time, and just being able to self-generate a PO so that it's ready for a procurement leader to just review and approve.
Yeah.
That would be incredible, right? Like if it starts to recognize some of your behaviors. Again, you've got to go back and use Agentforce and Topic Center to MuleSoft Topic Center for creating and defining the role. So you're giving it the instructions of if this and that, but it's less like a tree where a decision tree is truly like if this then that. You're training an agent on certain behaviors and you're giving it the prompts the same way that you're training like a junior analyst to say, hey, when this happens in the organization, when par levels get to this point, here's what you need to do. you're training the agent to do similar things. The human in the loop is now a senior leader or even an analyst can go in and review it before they hit submit. But creating a PO, sometimes that alone is monotonous, right? Nobody wants to take the time to create that, even if it's 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes that they could be doing negotiating a better contract.
Absolutely. Do we have more questions? From Christine, can MuleSoft make actions in external systems?
Christine, I think this is truly the point that we'd love to get across. So maybe we didn't do it as effectively, but yes, MuleSoft can take actions in external systems using automation. So it's doing some of the, part of it is using flow to be able to trigger external actions. So it's not limited back to just CRM. It's not limited to just within the Salesforce ecosystem. You have to connect first to Workday or your ERP, SAP, Oracle, whatever, and then tell it, you're going to start with an action within Agentforce and then trigger out. Of course, as Raul said, it doesn't have to be Agentforce. We would love it to be Agentforce, but understand that you might be evaluating other things. That's where MuleSoft becomes really helpful. It's going to help you take actions everywhere.
Actually, I have a real world use case around that. We have a medtech provider client, and they have folks in their accounting and revenue lifecycle department who have to go and submit claims on various payer portals. So all of that is heavy manual tasks, which can all be automated via MuleSoft automation or RPA. So it's about going into a portal, signing in, submitting a claim, checking the status. They have a human doing that all day, every day. So we can have this employee function on other high-value tasks rather than the mundane of just logging in and checking on statuses. So MuleSoft RPA can go and log into this portal, file a claim, and then come back and check on the statuses. And then we can tie it into Agentforce and drive intelligence from that and any other actions and whatnot. So rather than having a human going through all that, the agent can figure all that out with MuleSoft. So it's a great use case. All right. Any other question? I think that's it.
I think so.
All right.
Well, Rahul, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be on here with you. You and I have been working together for years,
Well,
and
we were overdue, so we were on deck.
that's long overdue.
Let's not make it that long. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. This is great.
Thanks. And thanks to everyone joining us. Stephanie, do you have any follow-up?
I think we're good.
Guys are all good. Thank you guys so much for attending today's webinar. And if you have any more questions, feel free to connect with Argano on LinkedIn, as well as Patty and Raul, and we'd be happy to get back to you. Again, the recording will be headed your way after this webinar, and have a great rest of your day and a great weekend ahead of you. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.